We welcome you all on the behalf of Nilofer Hospital, Department of Pediatric Surgery. And we were honored to have Professor Ram Samaj in our midst for this online case discussion. A little bit of introduction about Sir. Professor Ram Samaj is the present professor and the head of the Department of the Pediatric Surgery in PGI Chandigarh. He has published more than 117 papers in both national and international journals, in addition to contributing more than 6 chapters in various books of pediatric surgery. He has also presented scientific papers in 30 national and international conferences and workshops. He is a member of many high-profile organizations, including the Royal College of Surgeons, Ireland, the Indian Association of Pediatric Surgeons, the European Pediatric Surgeons Association. We are greatly honored to have Sir in our discussion for this session, and we welcome you, Sir, once again. I'll go ahead with my presentation, Sir.
Thank you, thank you.
Yes.
Please go ahead.
Yes, sir. So I'm presenting a 9-month-old male child, Sai Pragnath, who comes from Kamareddy district here in Telangana. He is Hindu by religion. The information was given by the mother, who was a reliable source of information. The chief complaint that this child he presented to us with a colostomy which was done during the newborn period for failure to pass meconium for the first 3 days of life, along with abdominal distensions. So the history of the presenting complaint: the child was brought to the hospital on the 3rd day of life with non-passage of meconium since birth, and also having abdominal distension. At that time of admission, there was no associated vomiting, fever, loose stools, or blood in stools. The child was born at term by a cesarean section. He was the second child to his parents, and there was no significant history of any associated conditions at that time of admission. A loop colostomy was done with both rectal and stoma site biopsies were done during the first admission itself. The rest of the history of the child, the antenatal history: the mother was 25 years when she was pregnant with the child, and the marriage was non-consanguineous. The pregnancy was registered antenatally. There was no history of hypothyroidism or diabetes in the mother, and all the antenatal scans done during the time were normal. The perinatal history: the child was born with a birth weight of 2.8 kgs. The child was the second child and was exclusively breastfed. There was no significant history in the siblings or the other family members. The family history was not significant. So, summarizing the history, this is a 9-month-old male child who presented to us with a colostomy done in the newborn period for the complaint of not having passed meconium for the first 3 days of life, along with abdominal distension. Shall I proceed, sir? Sir?
Dr. Philip, sorry. I was asking, you have completed your history?
Yes, sir. My history of the...
See, I want to know from you, what was the site of colostomy? Because you told us loop colostomy. Loop colostomy was done at the sigmoid level or at the transverse colon level, we don't know. So you did not say anything about the specific site of colostomy.
I mean, in my history, I have not mentioned that, sir, but in the later part of the discussion, on the review of the records that were available, it was a sigmoid left pelvic sigmoid loop colostomy.
And regarding rectal biopsy, how the rectal biopsy was taken? It was taken from the below or from the abdominal?
No, sir. It was taken from the colostomy opening site itself, from the abdomen. A full thickness rectal biopsy was taken.
So, peritoneal reflection they must have taken.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Along with the stoma site biopsy.
And regarding this family history, whether you have taken history that whether this similar type of complaint in any other family member or something like that?
Yes, sir. I had mentioned that, sir. The other sibling and the family members, there was no similar complaint, sir, or associated history of neurocristopathies in the family, sir.
Any history of use of opioids during induction of labor and all those things?
Yeah, no, sir. There was no history of usage.
Nothing.
Of opioids.
Is it important?
No, yes, sir. The usage of drugs can have some etiology with Hirschsprung's disease. Sir.
During delivery.
During delivery,
yes.
I was asking.
Philip, how it is going to affect the neonate bowel movement?
Yes, sir. It can increase the transit time, sir, of the bowel and cause delayed passage of meconium.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Philip. Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I'll proceed with the radiological investigations that were done during the first admission, sir. The child was admitted during the admission and he was evaluated first with a plain X-ray of the abdomen, sir. This is the image of the plain X-ray taken of the abdomen and the pelvis. It shows.
One minute, Philip.
Yes, sir.
In history, you did not.
Yes, sir.
Because the child is 9 months old, you did not tell us anything about the vaccination history.
Yes, sir. The immunization history was complete, sir.
No, but you did not mention that. You mentioned, I missed that.
No, sir. I did not mention it as a significant. Yes.
Okay. So always you have to see that immunization history because you have presented other things, antenatal and all those things. But
yes.
Okay. Go ahead. So this X-ray was done in some
so this
other
was yes, sir. When during admission at the first time, at the third day of life, sir.
In some other hospital?
This was done in our hospital only, sir.
No. So this was done with colostomy in situ or before?
No, sir. This is the first presentation of the child, sir, in the newborn period, neonatal period.
So child was operated here in your hospital only?
Yes, sir. The first time it was operated and...
Okay.
Yes. So this is the plain radiograph of the abdomen and the pelvis. It shows dilated large bowel loops which are peripherally placed, the colonic loops, along with dilated centrally placed small bowel loops. There is paucity of gas in the true pelvis, and the colonic cutoff can be seen just above the pelvis. The child, according to this X-ray, a diagnosis of Hirschsprung's disease was entertained, and further contrast studies were done. So this is the contrast enema that was done, sir. The image is taken in the lateral and the AP view. In the lateral view, we can see that there is the distal aganglion and the distal aganglionic part of the bowel, which is collapsed, and there is a funnel-like.
Can you show us with your marker?
Yes, sir. This is the. Is it seen, sir? The marker.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is the narrowed segment of the bowel, which suggests the aganglionic segment, and this is the funnel-like transitional segment, sir, the transitional zone, and this is the point where there's dilatation of the bowel starting, which shows the ganglionic segment, sir. And in the AP view, we see that the sigmoid is dilated and it is on the right side of the abdomen. And we see the rest of the colon, which is the descending colon, has normal caliber, sir. So
if I say in the second film, lateral film, what you are telling is dilated, maybe the transition zone, and below that maybe the constricted zone. Is it possible? Where you are putting your cursor, arrow,
yes,
that may be the transition zone.
Yeah, this could be the transition zone, so the funnel-like appearance, which is dilating, and this could be the ganglionic segment.
Yeah, because whatever you are telling at the down, this is very small segment. You cannot comment on that. This may be the where you are putting your, because I am putting also my marker, but we may not be able to see. So that may be this. So what contrast was used in this?
Here we use a water-soluble contrast, sir. Usually, urographene is used in a 1:1 dilution, sir, along with normal saline.
Any precaution you take before taking patient for this contrast enema?
Yes, sir. Ideally, the precautions to be taken is that the conditions such as enterocolitis or a perforation has to be ruled out, sir. Only then can we take up the investigation, and also prior perrectal examination and washout should be avoided in order to better delineate the transitional zones.
Any other precaution?
Ideally, the investigation is done under fluoroscopy. The child is placed in a warm environment, and the contrast material which should be used also should be at or above room temperature, and it should be isoosmolar and isotonic.
How do you put the catheter, and how much pressure you
yes,
use?
sir.
How much contrast you inject?
Yes, sir. A soft rectal catheter is introduced just beyond the anal verge, and the child is placed in a lateral decubitus position. The catheter is should be strapped to the buttocks so that there is no leakage of contrast. And a slow installation of contrast, 1:1 dilution, around 20 ml of contrast initially is given, sir, along with saline. With the slow installation and under fluoroscopy, ideally it should be seen, sir.
When you will stop injecting the contrast?
So when the transitional zone is seen and when the contrast enters into the ganglionic segments.
Dilated segment.
Yes, sir.
I wanted to know any other thing from you, any precaution when I was asking every time what precaution you will take. One important also, you have to keep in mind that you have to take care of the hydration of the baby.
Yes, sir.
Because this may be hyperosmolar, can lead to dehydration, this contrast material. So it can lead to dehydration after your contrast enema. So always you hydrate the baby and keep watch over this hydration of the baby.
Yes, sir.
Okay, that is also most important thing.
Yes, sir.
Okay, then proceed.
Yes. Following this contrast enema, a delayed film was taken, sir, after 24 hours. And here in the delayed film, we also see some retention of the contrast that was instilled, which further suggests that it could be a Hirschsprung's disease with retention of contrast.
Dr. Philip, you always take 24-hour delayed film even if it shows classical features of Hirschsprung disease?
Usually, if the first contrast film is it shows a classical segment and it is, if there is no doubt, then we don't have to do a delayed film, sir.
Yes, correct. So if you have got the classical pictures, then no need of doing any 24-hour delayed film. But if there is no transition zone seen on the contrast enema, then you go for 24 hours delayed film, and if it shows persistent of contrast, that is again suggests that possibility of Hirschsprung disease.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Go ahead.
Sir. So I'll talk about the histopathology at the end of the presentation, sir, when I'm talking about the investigation.
I have a doubt actually. Yes. Is it the right time to discuss about the X-ray findings, very minimum and all, or it's better to be discussed at the end of the presentation?
Yeah, no. You discuss now only, it's better because later on we will forget that.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir. This is the end of the. Yes, sir. This is the end of the history, sir. On summarizing the history is a 9-month-old male child presented to us with a colostomy done in the newborn period after for the complaints of failure to pass meconium and abdominal distension for 3 days. And the radiological investigations done at the time, the clinico-radiological diagnosis reached was that of a classical segment Hirschsprung disease. I'll proceed with the examination, sir.
Okay.
Yes. The general examination, the child was conscious, active, and well nourished. There was no pallor, icterus, clubbing, cyanosis, generalized lymphadenopathy, or edema. The vitals were normal, sir. The pulse rate was 100 beats per minute. Respiratory rate was 28 per minute. The anthropometry, the weight was 8.6 kg, height was 80 centimeters, head circumference 48 centimeters. All the parameters were within the estimated values for this
Philip,
weight.
what is the percentile of this weight and height? Have you calculated from that nomogram chart?
Yes, sir. We usually use the expected weight for this child, sir. So it is age in months plus 9/2 for weight. Sir.
No. Have you calculated for this weight and how much percentile is this weight and height? There is a nomogram chart available always.
Yes, sir.
You have not done. Always try to do that.
Yes, sir. For this child, we
want to know whether this is a properly nutritionally normal or under-depleted rather than.
Yes, sir.
Both weight and height. Okay.
Yes, sir.
And child is 9 months old now.
Yes, sir. 9 months.
What do you expect of this head circumference?
Head,
At this age, what will be the head circumference?
What is the head circumference at birth and how it progresses? First 3 months, next 3 months, next 6 months.
33 to 35 centimeters at birth, sir. First 3 months it increases by 3 centimeters per month. Next 3 months by 2 centimeters. Sir? 2 centimeters. The next 3 months by 1 centimeter and the next 3 months by 0.5 centimeter.
Okay. So what is this? Is head circumference normal for this age?
It should be around yes, sir. 46 to 48, sir.
Because once you are telling me something, you have to give the reason why you said about the head circumference. Do you expect some hydrocephalus associated with this condition?
No, sir. But there can be some CNS associations with Hirschsprung disease, but not in this child.
There are so many things in general examination. Child may be having Down syndrome also.
Yes.
So you have to tell about the Down syndrome also, whether there is any feature of Down syndrome.
Yes, sir. In the head-to-toe examination, there were no features of dysmorphic features.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Come to the local examination, sir. The abdominal examination, on inspection, the abdomen was flat. Umbilicus was central, and there were no scars or sinuses or visible peristalsis or pulsations seen. A loop colostomy was seen in the left iliac fossa. There was an adequate spur seen with the stoma, and both the lumens were seen completely and separate. The mucosa was seen to be moist and pink. There was no parastomal herniation seen. Adequate lumen size was seen, and the proximal stoma was functioning. There was no peristomal excoriation, sir.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. On palpation, the abdomen was soft with no local rise of temperature or tenderness. All the inspectory findings were confirmed, and there were no palpable masses. Peristomal examination done was also normal. There were no fecolids within the bowel. On percussion, the liver dermis present in the fifth intercostal space. Liver span was 7 centimeters with no free fluid. On auscultation, bowel sounds were heard. Perrectal examination revealed a tight and collapsed anus. There were no fecolids present, sir. The rest of the systemic examination was normal.
Go ahead, Philip.
Yes, sir. So this is the end of the examination, sir. So summarizing, this was a 9-month-old male child who presented with delayed passage of meconium and abdominal distension, underwent a left pelvic loop colostomy in the newborn period for a clinical radiological diagnosis of a classical segment Hirschsprung's disease. This was later confirmed histopathologically. The period following this was uneventful with no hospitalizations. He was admitted this time for a definitive corrective procedure, sir.
Okay. Any other thing in your examination or history you want to add? Or you are complete?
So just to add that there were no intervening episodes of suggestive of enterocolitis, sir. Or
yes.
yes.
How will you diagnose enterocolitis?
Sir, enterocolitis, based on the clinical picture, the child will be febrile, will be septic, and there will be abdominal distension with diarrhea, and also passage of blood-stained stool, sir.
Yes, correct.
Yes.
So you did not mention about this in history that there is any evidence of this. And in examination, have you missed something?
Examination.
Nothing. Okay.
Nothing, sir.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. The further evaluation, sir, I would like to do all the investigation necessary for the definitive procedure, sir. First is the investigations to check for fitness for the operation. The blood investigations done were hemoglobin was 11.8 gram %. Total count was 11,300 per cubic millimeter. Platelet count was 1.6 lakhs. The urea was 12.2 milligram %. Creatinine was 0.18 milligram %. Electrolytes were normal. The prothrombin time was 16 seconds. APTT was 40 seconds. INR was 1.1. Sir.
Okay.
Reviewing the histopathology that was done during the first admission, sir. This is the report. The rectal biopsy shows mucosa, which is unremarkable. Lamina propria shows inflammatory cell infiltrates composed of lymphocytes, plasma cells, and muscularis propria shows hypertrophy with no ganglion cells, with few hypertrophied nerve bundles. The colostomy site biopsy shows mucosa and the rest of the layers, which are unremarkable, showing ganglion cells. Immunohistochemistry with calretinine staining also was done. The rectal biopsy, calretinine was negative, and stoma site biopsy, it was positive.
Yes, good. Okay.
Yes. So based on the history and the examination along with histopathology and radiology, the final diagnosis is a classical segment Hirschsprung's disease with functioning left pelvic loop colostomy and with no other complications.
So what will you do now?
Sir, I would plan for a definitive procedure, sir. Ideally in a child of 9 months of age on a colostomy. Here in our setup, we do modified Duhamel's retrorectal pull-through. So,
at what age?
Yes, sir. From 9 months to 1 year of age, usually.
Okay. You told us the weight of this child now. How much?
8.6 kgs, sir.
8.6 kg. Okay. So, what you want me to discuss now?
Sir,
in your institute, how will you proceed? Suppose such type of any patient comes.
Yes, sir. So usually what we do in our setup is at the newborn period,
newborn baby comes with abdominal distension.
Yes. So the main diagnosis is done radiologically, sir. First we do the radiology and the plane and contrast images, sir. After a radiological confirmation of Hirschsprung disease, we based on the segment involved. If it is a classical segment, we go in for a sigmoid loop colostomy with rectal and stoma site biopsies. There is no facility for a frozen section at our setup.
But you are doing calretinine there. Immunohistochemistry calretinine is available. That is.
Yeah, yes, sir. A pathology department does, sir.
Yeah. So no problem. So do you know about this Hartmann procedure?
Yes, sir. Hartmann procedure is done in some centers, including PGI, where the colostomy, it's an end colostomy, sir, and the the distal stump is closed at the pelvic reflection.
Mm-hmm. So why you don't prefer that? Professor Narendra is also was examiner in our institute in 2014. Yes, Dr. Narendra.
Some of the cases we are doing actually.
Acha, doing?
Yeah, when the fully dilated colon is there, so where the chance of prolapse is very high. In those cases, we are doing Hartmann's procedure with end colostomy.
Yeah.
We are doing.
Okay.
Not next, in the case of newborn.
No, okay. So next.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we'll proceed for a staged correction, sir. Usually a staged management where Duhamel's is usually planned at 8 to 12 months of age, sir, based on the weight and age.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the use of stapler, we use a 55 millimeter stapler, sir. So
you use a stapler.
Yes, sir. So before,
is there any role of? Do you have suction rectal biopsy, or you take full rectal biopsy, full thickness?
We do a full thickness biopsy, sir. Suction.
According to you, what is the indication for full thickness rectal biopsy? Is there any?
What are the types of biopsies, Philip?
Yes, sir,
tell all types of biopsies.
Yes, sir. It can be a partial thickness biopsy or a full thickness biopsy, sir.
I want to know, is there any role of rectal biopsy, whether you take by suction forceps or you take full thickness open biopsy?
So sometimes a suction biopsy is taken, only the mucosa and the submucosa is taken. Sir.
No. Dr. Philip, I am asking a straight question. According to you, is there any situation where you will go for rectal biopsy before proceeding with the definitive pull-through procedure?
For the confirmation of the diagnosis, we have to do a rectal biopsy, sir.
No. Here you have done from the above.
Yes, sir.
But that may be the case of short-segment Hirschsprung disease. Yes. But
yes, sir.
Your aganglionic segment sometimes may be below the peritoneal reflection.
Yes, sir. If it is an ultra short segment or internal anal sphincter.
So in that case, rectal biopsy will be your will show presence of ganglion cells.
Yes, sir. So then we have to do a suction biopsy.
No. See, if you get on your barium minima, classical transition zone and narrowed segment and dilated segment, then there is no need of any rectal biopsy. That's what we are following in our institute also, and maybe you also following. Though Western people, they don't do anything without doing rectal biopsy, suction rectal biopsy. Okay. But here in my institute also, if the barium minima is classical, suggestive of Hirschsprung disease, showing all the three segments, like narrowed and segment, then transition zone, then dilatation, then we don't go for any rectal biopsy. But suppose the transition zone is not seen on your barium minima and there is this retention of the contrast after 24 hours also. Okay. Then you go for rectal. We don't have suction biopsy. We will go for full thickness rectal biopsy. Then we go for biopsy to prove whether this is a Hirschsprung disease or not. So there is certain indication for that. Because what we think in PGI, that this transition zone is only present in Hirschsprung disease, not in any other condition. That's why once our barium minima is suggestive of Hirschsprung, we don't go for rectal biopsy. What is the disadvantage of doing full thickness rectal biopsy? Any disadvantages there?
Yes, sir. They can be leaked from the biopsy site, sir.
No. That is very rare. How it will leak? You are doing it posteriorly?
Yes, sir.
We
usually do it in the anterior part, sir.
You are doing in anterior part. Nobody does in anterior part. No. I'm not talking about the laparotomy and then rectal biopsy. I am talking about rectal biopsy from below.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. That is done posteriorly.
So, you are talking about the.
I was thinking of laparotomy.
Okay,
yes, sir.
Okay. No, I am talking about the rectal biopsy from the anal root.
All right.
Transanal rectal biopsy.
Yeah. So, what
Yes,
will be the disadvantage?
It can. We can miss out on an ultra short segment, sir, if it is beyond the.
No. Any other thing?
What is the difficulty when you are doing definitive procedure?
Yeah.
The dissection and the perirectal dissection and the creating the retrorectal space will be difficult.
Planes will be a bit difficult.
When you come down from the above pelvic dissection, then there are chances that at the site of biopsy it may be so adherent that you may perforate at this stage, or it may not be able to dissect in that plane because it's so adherent to the posterior wall.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this is the only disadvantage. Otherwise, yes. So this is the indication for rectal biopsy in our situation. Then,
yes, sir.
You did not tell me anything on your barium enema film. What is the recto sigmoid index?
Yes, sir. There is a reversal of the rectosigmoid index, sir.
What is normal index?
The normal index should be 1, sir. 1, or the rectum should be the equal or more than 1, sir.
But where you will take the dimension? From which portion of the rectum or from sigmoid colon?
The diameter of the aganglionic part, sir, and the transverse diameter of the.
On X-ray, you cannot tell this is aganglionic part or ganglionic part. Aganglionic part will be not dilated, no?
Yes, sir. The narrowest part of the rectum and the dilated.
The maximum dilated part of the rectum and maximum dilated part of the sigmoid colon.
Yes, sir.
You have to take at that point, and then you take the rectosigmoid index. And in aspect disease,
it is reverse, sir.
Reverse, less than 1 usually.
Less than 1.
Okay. So we have discussed about rectal biopsy. Some in chat box? I don't know. Some.
What is the specificity and sensitivity of the contrast enema study?
Tell us.
Yes, sir. Contrast enema has a specificity close to 90 to 93%, sir.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Sir, there is another thing in the chat box. Sir, in this case, with the transition zone visible, only rectal biopsy and stomatocyte biopsy enough, or we should take more biopsy from the proximal part also?
No, why we should do? Because already one side it is rectal biopsy showing absence of ganglion cells and proximal stoma showing the presence of ganglion cells from the stoma side. So there is no need because already you are having one ganglionic ball up and aganglionic ball down. So no need of doing any biopsy, further biopsy. Right. Because what you want to know where is the ganglionic segment and where is the aganglionic segment. So with this biopsy, you are able to tell us this is the ganglionic stoma site and this is aganglionic down below.
Okay.
So
as per the contrast study, even the descending colon looks a bit narrow. So maybe that is raising some amount of suspicion.
What?
Yeah, the contrast X-ray, in the descending colon showing narrow. Just have a look.
Show with the arrow. Show with arrow.
This part, sir.
Yeah, no, that maybe the proximal. No, after the dilated segment, that will
be raising a suspicion.
That may be the descending colon. This one. No, that will be normal. This should not be dilated too much up to the transverse colon. That may be the normal. So no, because once you have got, there are rare chances of skip lesions are also reported in Hirschsprung disease, but they are very rare. So no need of doing multiple biopsies. We take multiple biopsies when we sometimes operate these patients with intestinal obstruction, suspicion of total colonic aganglionosis, child present with query. You think whether this is ileoatresia or whether this is total colonic aganglionosis. In that case, when you do ileostomy, then you do take multiple biopsies. You take out the appendix, then from the ascending colon, then transverse colon, descending colon, rectum. Then you take multiple biopsies. Otherwise, no need of doing multiple biopsies here. Once 2 biopsies are showing clearly all ganglion cells positivity and negativity.
Actually, in the lateral view, it's very clear that
in lateral view,
transition zone, dilated zone, everything is very clear.
Yes, sir.
One question is that don't you do a rectal biopsy before doing a colostomy? Doctor?
Yes, sir. Ideally, for confirmation, a suction rectal biopsy can be done, sir, at the bedside.
Okay.
No. That can be done only when there is a suspicion or contrast enema study is indeterminate finding, giving some indeterminate finding.
In Hirschsprung disease, you go for colostomy only when you are sure that this is the Hirschsprung disease on contrast enema examination. So if you are sure of Hirschsprung disease with all the transition zone, dilated segment and all those things, then there is no need of doing rectal biopsy. But as I discussed just now before, that when you will go for rectal biopsy, if the barium enema or contrast enema is inconclusive, you don't see any transition zone there, but you are clinically suspecting Hirschsprung disease, then you go for rectal biopsy to prove your diagnosis that yes, this is Hirschsprung disease. Then whatever you want to do, whether you want to go for stage procedure like you do some colostomy, then pull-through procedure, or then you want to go for single stage, whether single stage modified Duhamel, single stage Swenson, or transcendental endorectal pull-through, whatever you want to do, you can do that one. But you have to first diagnose Hirschsprung disease by looking at the contrast enema. And then you decide whether you want to go for colostomy or you want to go for definitely pull-through in one stage. That's all.
Yes, sir.
Another is, can Hirschsprung disease be diagnosed antenatally? Dr. Philip?
Antenatal diagnosis of Hirschsprung disease is quite difficult. So there can be some features like echogenic bowel on the ultrasound, sir, or other features of associated conditions like neurocrystopathies and sequelae of neurocrystopathies. But diagnosis of Hirschsprung is difficult in antenatal period.
Yeah, correct. See, one thing, I don't know how you people prepare the bowel by mechanical cleaning, whether you do total gut irrigation or rectal washes. How will you prepare the patient for this pull-through?
Here we usually do rectal washes, sir. And
so you discharge the patient.
What about total gut? Total gut irrigation, Philip?
Yes, sir.
No, Philip, suppose you are doing rectal washes, then how many days before definitive surgery you admit this baby to your hospital?
Sir,
2 days, 3 days, 1 week?
2 days before surgery we admit, sir, and we start nasogastric irrigation along with rectal washes.
So if you are using nasogastric irrigation, that is the total gut irrigation.
Yes, sir, total gut irrigation.
Then why to admit 2 days before? You can admit 1 day before in the evening. You can start total gut irrigation. What do you use for the total gut irrigation?
We use normal saline, sir, at the rate of 20 ml per kg every 2 hours.
Every 2 hours?
Yes, sir, 20 ml per kg per hour or 2 hours till the contents are clear, sir.
Usually it's 25 ml per kg for usually 4 hours, and in this 4 hours usually it becomes clear or till the fluids become clear. Why you want to give at this rate, this saline infusion?
Usually it is started on the day prior to the surgery, sir. So
No. I want to know the reason for giving whatever you are following, 20 ml per kg per hour, or what I follow 25 ml per kg per hour, whatever may be. What is the reason of giving saline through an NG tube at this rate?
it is the rate of the gastric emptying, sir.
No.
No.
Any other reason? If you give saline in slower rate, it will get absorbed by the intestine, and then you will see your child will be puffy on the next day. Okay?
Yes.
So it gets retained. If you give by 25 or 20 ml per kg per hour, then this saline will not be absorbed. It will go
Irrigate.
Irrigate. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So that's why you have to be very careful. You have to instruct the sisters that it should be like at this rate. Now you do have infusion pumps and all those things, so you can just adjust that one. But before, we have to see by our manual only that the saline goes by this rate only. So if you leave that, then child will be puffy and all those things. There will be hyper and natremia and all those things in period only. So that will cause a lot of problem for the anesthetist also. So you have to be very vigilant about this total gut irrigation. So you are using total gut irrigation, okay?
Yes, sir.
And what that? Somebody is asking about TPT. I will tell about TPT at the last. But the contrast enema may not show Kalaska, especially in units, so in stable ways with Kilkeston. Not to full confirmed before the local. Regarding this transition zone.
Yes, sir.
Though the books do write that in neonates, they don't advocate any contrast enema. They say that the transition zone is not visible.
Yes,
but
sir.
In our experience, we have seen classical transition zone even in neonates also. Recently, maybe 2 years back, I operated one neonate at 10 days of age in AIMS Rishikesh, where I did single state transanal endorectal pull through. But that at 10 days of age also, there was a classical narrowed segment transition zone and then dilated zone at 10 days. And here also in PGI, we have seen, if we are suspecting this, then we go for contrast enema even in neonates. We only take precaution that if child is having any evidence of perforation peritonitis or having enterocolitis, then in that we don't go for this contrast enema. Otherwise, in neonates, we go for this contrast enema and it shows the transition zone in all those babies. This is our experience. Though books don't write about it, they don't advocate for contrast enema in neonatal period. But our experience is contrary to that. Okay?
Yes, sir.
What else? So what you are doing modified Duhamel?
Yes, sir. We are also doing transanal endorectal pull through also.
Okay. So whatever, see, according to which is the best procedure for this Hirschsprung disease, definitive procedure, Swenson, Sobe, Duhamel.
Sir, technically, Duhamel's procedure is technically easier, sir, and the dissection is lesser, so the results are better, they say, with Duhamel, sir. But currently, even transanal endorectal pull-through is achieving good results, sir. So
that is in selected patients. You cannot do transanal in all the patients, no? What are the criteria for doing single-stage transanal pull-through?
Any book is mentioning that Duhamel is
can do in long segment Hirschsprung disease. You can do single stage transcranial endoductal pull through.
No, sir. Only in classical segment with laparoscopic assistance for longer segment it can be done.
So this is the one criteria that you can do in short segment Hirschsprung. Second,
when there is no
for this procedure, you have to see the baby as a whole. You cannot choose only that this is short segment, so I will do that. What are the other things?
No underlying episodes of enterocolitis or.
Okay, then.
Adequate size of the pelvis, sir, for the dissection.
Adequate size of? What is this one? Adequate size of pelvis?
For dilatation of the.
We don't see any dilatation of the pelvis. What is pelvis dilatation?
No, sir, I meant for the dissection part, sir.
You mean retrorectal space for tunneling?
Yes, sir.
How will you know that this is narrow, this is the sufficient? Anyway, if you decide for that, you have to go in for that one. Whether this is a wide or what is it? This is not a criteria. First, you told correct that it should be short segment Hirschsprung disease.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Second, child should be well preserved with no abdominal distension.
Yes, sir. There should be no gross dilatation of the colon, sir.
Yes. Suppose if there is a gross dilatation of colon, what will happen?
Then bringing it down into the will be difficult, sir. And
no, bringing is not a difficult problem.
There will be the muscle tube will be very thick, sir. So there will be stricture or post-operative.
No.
What will happen if you want to bring it down?
You can bring it, no problem. But what will happen? That's what I want to know.
What will happen to the sphincters?
They will not accommodate the dilated colon.
Yes, they will not accommodate that dilated colon, and it will be difficult to anasmose that colon with that mucosa down.
Yes. Yes.
So you may leave some part of the colon and that will leak. So usually it's not advisable. That's why you have to choose very carefully if you want to do in single stage transcranial endoductal pull through. So these are the certain criteria you have to follow because you cannot do in all the patients.
Yes.
I have done minimum 10 days old neonate till 9 years of age. But even in 9 years of age, I have seen though some dilatation was there, then child was put on rectal washes and all those things till the bowel, this size came down significantly. Then we did transcranial endoductal pull through. Otherwise, it is very difficult. Once you go for this dilated bowel, then it will be very difficult to bring it down. And this child will not be continent at all. Because you are putting bulky bowel into this anal canal.
Yes.
Regarding the full thickness rectal biopsy, I forget to ask, where will you take the full thickness rectal biopsy?
Sir, if it is done transcranially, it is taken 2.2 to 2.5 centimeters above the dentate line, sir.
How will you identify where is pectinate line or dentate line?
It is a change in the color of the mucosa just proximal to the anal verge, sir.
How do you identify the dentate line? What do you see there?
The anal valve, sir.
Yes, you have to see the anal valves where they are missing, then that is the pectinate line.
Yes, sir.
And then you take your full thickness rectal biopsy about above 2 centimeter. Why you choose above 2 centimeter? What is the reason behind that?
Sir, the distance of 0.5 to 1.5 centimeters from the dentate line, there is hypoganglionosis, sir. So it may be falsely, it may be a false positive diagnosis.
Yes, usually this is physiological aganglionic zone. Okay, hypoganglionosis are aganglionic zone. So you have to go 2 centimeters above the pectinate.
Yes. The hypoganglion is the same in both the musculus propria and the mucosa.
So hypoganglionosis is more in the submucosal plexus, sir, because that is the embryologically it is developed later.
Level at what level? In musculus propria at what level and submucosa at what level?
What's the question?
Hypoganglionosis at the level in the submucosal plexus and the intermuscular plexus.
From the
ganglion cells are there at 2 levels only: submucosal plexus and mesenteric plexus.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So see why the concept of the donut biopsy came into the picture, because of this problem that they say that you have to take from the 4 quadrant biopsies, and
yes,
that's why people, when they go for even single state transcranial pull through, they take biopsies from the 4 quadrant and then send for histopathological examination at the top, where they think that this may be the ganglionic bowel.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because they don't coincide. Because in our results also, our radiological this aganglionosis, what we think, corresponded in about 93 to 95% of the cases with our histopathological examination. Okay, that's why we usually depend on the barium minima. In our pathologists, we do have a frozen section examination in our institute, so we are lucky. So that's why, because that is the other prerequisite for doing single state transcranial.
Yes, sir.
Because if you want to do it, then you have to be in facility of frozen section. But you told me that there is no facility of frozen section in your institute.
Yes, sir. We rely on the macroscopic demarcation.
No. Then how you do single state transcranial pull through?
Sir, macroscopically we identify the transition zone and go 5 centimeters above that, sir.
Means grossly you identify.
Yes, sir.
Macroscopically, not microscopically.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we
okay.
Take a liberally we used to go a bit more away.
Okay. I can answer.
Yeah,
Though we are relying on this, but sometimes it comes surprise to us, maybe once only, that the report came as the absence of ganglion cell, where we thought there may be ganglion cell. We also do the same thing what you are doing, because it's very difficult to wait for 20-30 minutes with our pathology.
That's not reliable, sir. Actually, we had problems outside. The frozen sections, they are not at all a reliable report.
No, then when I see, we also we do the anastomosis and everything, because we cannot keep the child anesthetized for 20-30 minutes waiting for the frozen section report, because we don't have in our same OT complex that pathologists. We have to send it to the other nearby adjacent building in PGI, in pathology department. So we also do the same thing what you are doing, but ideally one should wait for frozen section examination report and then you complete your anastomosis.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Now,
we are doing
Dr.
Go ahead, Philip. Go ahead.
What I asked is that hypoganglionosis and physiological hypoganglionosis in musculus propria, it is 0.5 centimeters above the dentate line, and in submucosa, it will be 1 centimeter above the dentate line. This is what is given in the textbook.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
So, Dr. Philip.
Yes, sir.
Suppose a patient comes with bilious vomiting, neonate.
Yes, sir.
And there you see on plain X-ray there is dilated small bowel.
Yes, sir.
What will be your diagnosis? Common diagnosis, rarely it can be anything.
Only dilated small bowel loops can be terminal ileal atresia, sir.
Okay, any?
Tell all DDs.
All the differentials will be terminal ileal atresia, meconium ileus. It can be total colonic aganglionosis, short left colon syndrome, sir. And meconium plug.
Meconium plug syndrome.
Yes.
What are the medical causes where you will get the constipation? Anything you go for medical problem also in all your surgical babies?
Yes, sir. We rule out the non-surgical causes of delayed passage of meconium, such as prematurity, sepsis, dyselectrolytemia, sir, maternal hypothyroidism.
Hypothyroidism.
Yes, sir. And
so child is infant is there, and for all your investigation, you are not able to pinpoint whether this is a Hirschsprung disease or not. Child is still having constipation, everything. This thyroid function test also showing normal. What will you do?
We can evaluate with a suction rectal biopsy, sir.
Okay.
And rule out all the other non-surgical causes. And sometimes if there is a meconium plug, a contrast enema can be therapeutic also.
What is the typically how meconium plug syndrome will present?
Usually presents as a colonic obstruction, sir, and within the
not children.
Then what you will give some rectal wash. Then what will happen?
There will be passage of a plug of meconium, sir, in the shape of the colon, sir, with the indentation.
A passage of meconium plug will be there. So in these cases, you have to be very careful about the possibility of Hirschsprung disease also. So yes, you have to advise for barium, this contrast enema for this patient. And in small left colon syndrome, what is the in history which most important?
Usually it is common in diabetic mothers, sir.
Okay, good.
But diabetes has to be ruled out.
Yeah, good. So have you seen any patient of total colonic aganglionosis?
Yes, sir.
So how will you diagnose? How you diagnose that total colonic aganglionosis? Tell me the barium enema findings.
Barium enema in total colonic aganglionosis is typically there will be a featureless question mark signed foreshortened colon, sir. They would will not be a transition zone visible. And there will be dilated small bowel loops which are centrally placed, and sometimes it can the obstruction can extend to the terminal ileum. 50 centimeters of terminal ileum can be involved. There will be loss of flexures of the colon.
So what you have done? How many cases you have seen?
We've seen about 10, sir, 10 to 15.
Very common then. In 3 years, you have seen 10 cases of total colonic. So what you did in this patient?
Sir, did in the laparotomy, if there was a suspicion, then we proceeded with a Santelli's ileostomy.
First stage. Then?
In some cases, and in some cases, a double barrel ileostomy.
Okay, this is first stage. Then?
Following that, we have done a Kimura's patch, sir.
Left colon or right colon?
The right colon, sir.
Right colon. Why not left colon?
The left colon, they say that
it's easy to pull down, no?
Yes, sir.
Water absorption, which is better, Philip?
Yes, sir. Water absorption is in the left colon only.
So why you want to do in right colon? Professor Narendra said the correct thing. The water absorption is more in left colon. You said correct answer.
Yes, sir.
You have to do in ileocoloplasty is done usually on the, though it has been described in right, you are right in your answering this question. But usually we do in
the left side it is done, sir. The Martin's procedure. Yes.
Yeah. So left side so that the
water absorption
will be more, and it is easier to do from the left side also because you have to excise this remaining aganglionic colon. You can pull down this one.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Now you tell me about the procedure of Duhamel you are doing in your institute. How will you do Duhamel? Suppose patient is anesthetized, lithotomy procedure, and you have catheterized the bladder. Then you have given the incision in the abdomen. And now you tell me how, because see, suppose you are going to operate this child, particular this child with loop ileostomy, how will you proceed for Duhamel?
Yes, sir. From the incision onwards, a hockey stick incision is given, sir, which encompasses the colostomy, and the colostomy is taken down. Following this, the colostomy is divided, sir, and the proximal dissection is done for the proximal bowel. Along the white line of Told, the lateral reflection is reflected, and dissection is carried up to the splenic flexure.
Okay.
And following this, the distal loop is dissected, sir, up till the pelvic reflection.
What is important for proximal mobilization? What do you see?
The vascularity is seen, sir.
Adequate mobilization. It should reach the.
Yes, sir.
It should reach the.
Sir, on the length is assessed by seeing if it crosses the pubic symphysis on the body, and
so suppose you are not able to pull it down, what will you do? How will you mobilize? Any vessel you will ligate or?
Yes, sir. The inferior mesenteric pedicle ideally should be ligated at the pedicle itself, so that to get adequate mobilization and length.
So the blood supply of this colon will be dependent on
based on the marginal arteries.
Marginal artery, correct. Okay, so you have mobilized the upper portion of this. Now for the this distal, what we will do for distal, this rectum and the remaining part of the descending colon?
Yes, so the descending colon, the remaining sigmoid is dissected up to the peritoneal reflection of the rectum, sir, the rectosigmoid junction. And there it is divided, and the stump is closed in 2 layers. Following this, posterior to the stump, the retrorectal plane is created. And then the operation is done from the perineal.
Why you close this, divide and close? You are doing modified Martins, or what you are doing? You are using stapler, no?
Yes, sir. We fire only from the below, sir.
No, you fire from below, but you will see where it's going, because once you close this above the peritoneal reflection, then that means you are not making upper anastomosis.
Some amount of spur may be left, sir, but usually.
Philip.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Are you doing Martin's modification or Duhamel's modification of Duhamel?
We are doing Duhamel's modification only, sir. Martin's modification we are not doing, sir.
Achha, you are not doing.
Yes, sir. We don't leave the rectal stump open till the firing of the stapler.
Okay. So that is maybe the Sulama's method that maybe you are doing maybe. Okay, no problem. So you are not doing Martin. So that's why. Okay, you close that stump and then you start dissecting in the retrorectal space.
Yes, sir.
Then?
And it is created up to the internal anal sphincter, sir, and then the dissection, then the perineal end is started.
How will you decide to the internal anal sphincter?
So perineally we can see that the indentation, sir, with the when the.
No. Here also the same thing happens, that where you will do the anastomosis. What is
Ideally,
your criteria where you want to do your anastomosis?
Ideally, we do it 1.5 centimeters above the dentate line, sir.
Yes, correct. So you can see from below.
Yes, sir. From below,
That-
we try to
Yeah,
see,
and then what incision you will give there?
below in the posterior rectal wall, we give a curvilinear incision, sir.
Semicircular. Okay.
Yes, sir.
From 3 o'clock to
3 o'clock to 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock. Okay.
Highly insistent.
Then you dissected and then you give it this incision. Before giving incision, what will you do? How will you give the incision? You will put something from above.
We usually pass a sponge holding forceps and apply pressure, sir, so that there is.
Okay. Yeah, you apply tight sponge on a sponge holder and then you give incision over that. Okay, then.
Yes. And then the colon is pulled through the.
No. Once you have given incision, then what next? What will be your movement?
We take stays around the incision side, sir. The lateral 2 stays and the center stays in the anteriorly and posteriorly.
Okay.
And then the colon is brought through and.
No. You are correct. You have to take the 2 lateral sutures, then one in the anterior lip and one in posterior lip. That is all right.
Yes.
But your sponge holder is still in place.
Yes, sir. We pass another forceps, another instrument from.
You tie this sponge with
Correct.
another curved artery forceps, long
Yes, sir.
curved artery forceps, and then you pull your sponge holder up.
Up, sir, and then bring the bowel through the same path.
Now, how will you bring the bowel from the above? You may rotate it.
Yes, sir. We
obstruction.
check the orientation, sir.
It's not rotated.
Yes, sir. We check, make sure that it is not twisted and.
How? That's why. How will you make sure? Because you are going to hold in your artery forceps and you are pulling down. And once it comes down, how will you make sure that this is the mesenteric side, this is the antimesenteric side?
Stays are taken on the mesenteric side, sir. And while
you will not take
marking stays.
Yes, sir. We take stays and on the antimesenteric and mesenteric sides, sir, and differentiate the 2 stays.
How? That's why I want to ask you. Either you use one side silk, one side vicryl.
Yes, silk and vicryl or length of the stay.
Length of the suture. You remember what you are leaving short, what you are leaving long. And then when you pull, then you have to ensure that this is in the correct orientation. Otherwise, you may rotate it.
Yes, sir.
Okay?
Yes, sir.
So this is the most important step in Duhamel, where you will give the incision. And you told me that when you give the incision at this 1.5 centimeter pectinate line, you take sutures, 2 corner sutures, 1 anterior. What suture you will use that?
We usually take silk stays sutures, sir.
And this silk used for this anastomosis also, or you use other thing?
We use silk only, sir, for anastomosis.
Silk only. Okay. So when you are taking this silk suture from the corner or from the anterior lip, how will you take this silk suture? Inside out, outside in?
From the luminal side, inside out, sir.
Why?
In order to take the full thickness of the bowel, sir.
You can take from outside in also, you can take full thickness. See, there is a trick so that you can avoid your time consuming also.
Yes.
When you take the suture from the corner, you take from outside in, take full thickness and keep it, don't cut the suture, keep it with needle here. So when you pull the bowel from above, then in that bowel, pull through bowel, you can take from outside in. So same suture can be used to tie this one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you have to take from outside in. Similar, right? The anterior lip also. You have to take from the outside in. And then when the pull-through bowel will come, then outside in.
Yes, sir.
You understood?
Yes, sir. I understood, sir. Yeah.
And similarly, down also, in posterior lip also, you have to take from outside in, then keep that suture there. Then once you pull the bowel down, then you take suture from the pull-through bowel also.
Yes.
In anterior lip, how many sutures you will take?
Anterior lip, midline suture, and on either side one suture, sir.
Okay.
And then
Correct. Very good. Very good.
That
So
is
when
3.
yes.
So when you put your stapler,
Yes, sir.
which one you will put down? There are 2 limbs, no?
Yes, sir. The firing arm is put down, sir. Meaning
that handle or that button, that what you pull to
yes,
this cut and suture should be on your right side if you are right-handed.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So it is below, sir. It goes into the bottom part.
Pardon?
Because it is a right-handed, for a right-handed surgeon, it goes in the below, sir.
Below, and then so that you can fire it, because you cannot fire it from the left side so quickly and so with force.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so how will you because you have closed already that upper pouch or rectal pouch.
Yes, sir.
So how will you determine how long you are going to crush this common septum?
The assistant usually assesses from above, sir, to see whether the tip of the stapler has reached the end of the stump, and also to make sure that there is no small bowel there while firing.
Okay, so when will you this? So you have done this anastomosis, okay?
Yes.
Have you encountered any complication in post-operative period with this your Duhamel?
Yes, sir. Most commonly, what is there is that retained spur, sir, and fecal impaction because of retained spur.
No. Immediate, Philip. Immediate post-operative period. What is the commonest complication you have seen?
Leak, sir. Leaks from the stump.
From the stump.
Yes, sir.
So what will you do?
If it's a minor leak, we can divert we can make a diverting stoma, sir. And cover, and if needed, a drain is placed, and distal the stump is washed out, sir.
See, people were doing before in Husband disease, they were doing transverse colostomy. Okay. Yes. And first stage, then second stage, Duhamel procedure, then third stage, they used to close this colostomy.
Yes, sir.
So suppose you are new for the Duhamel procedure, what precaution you will take? Can you do some maneuver proximally so that you can avoid some, you want to protect your anastomosis?
Covering colostomy can be done, sir.
No, then you have to close it. Then it comes to the third stage. Any simpler procedure you can do? For beginner, I am telling you, because once you are experienced, you can do it, no problem. But for beginner, I am asking.
Cecostomy or a tube?
Yes.
A tube cecostomy, sir.
Tube cecostomy, you can do tube cecostomy so that your fecal gases and all material will come from that. Only a small portion will go. And you can remove this without doing any surgery, and it will heal.
Yes, sir.
So that's what, for beginners, if you are afraid of anastomotic leak, then you put a tube cecostomy, Maillard catheter to remove the appendix and put the Maillard catheter into the ileum. And
Yes,
then you can sleep well, and then you can be very safe.
yes, sir.
Any other complication have you encountered? Have you seen single state transanal endoductal pull-through also? You are doing the same, no? You are.
Yeah, yes, sir.
So what are the complications you have seen in single state transanal endoductal pull-through?
In endorectal pull-through, usually there is a synechiae formation, sir, and between the suture line. Yes.
Synechiae formation. Why there should be synechiae formation? While stool is coming, there should not be any synechiae problem.
What are the common, Philip?
Yes, sir.
Common complications what you see in endoanal pull-through, endorectal pull-through?
Commonly, it can be a residual segment, sir, of aganglionosis. They can be even acquired aganglionosis.
No, that is a different, yeah.
Any collection can enter between the cuffs?
Yes, sir. Hematoma in the cuff, or because of the muscular cuff, they can be stenosis or constipation, sir.
What do you do to the muscular cuff to avoid this obstruction in the post-operative period?
Usually in the intraoperative time, we do a posterior cuff myotomy, sir.
Yes, you divide this in posterior muscular cuff so that it clear. Have you advised anal dilatation in all the patients after TPT?
Yes, sir. Usually we start after 2 weeks of the operation, sir.
Then continue till what time?
Usually it is done for the first month, sir, and then we reassess. Then till the 3rd month we continue.
So anastomotic stricture is the other problem. That's why you are afraid of that.
Yes,
we advise anal routinely, but some people they don't advise. We don't advise routine anal dilatation, but we follow the patient, and if patient comes with some evidence of anal stricture, then we start dilating that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So you are going to pass out MCH, and you are going into practice, or you are going somewhere. So what will you like to do in Husband disease? Duhamel or single stage?
Initially, staged operation is better, sir, in order to for a beginner level, sir.
Yes.
And
you should be a safe surgeon.
Yes.
Now I will ask you one thing. Have you heard about this ultra short Husband disease?
Yes, sir. It is also called internal sphincter achalasia, sir. Internal anal sphincter achalasia.
So what will you do in this case?
Both are synonymous or different?
Both have the same presentation, sir, and
presentation is same, but
some books are
same or no?
Are they both are same or different?
They're the same only, sir. Some books say they're both same only now. The entity is the same.
No. Both are different.
Both are different.
They are considered as variants of Husband's.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so tell me, before going for ultra short segment, tell me the other variants of Husband disease. Because now Professor Narendra has uttered this word variant. So tell me the other variants of Husband disease. One, you already told.
Yeah, classical segments, sir. Long segment and total colonic aganglionosis.
No, that is not. That is Husband disease only. Variant of Husband. Variant Husband disease.
Internal sphincter achalasia.
Yes, correct. Internal sphincter achalasia you can consider in variant Husband disease. But this is this ultra short Husband disease is a different entity. You cannot consider. That is part of the Husband disease.
Yes, sir.
Means short segment Husband disease, long segment Husband disease, total colonic aganglionosis, even total intestinal ganglionosis and ultrashort Husband. These are all one entity in Husband disease. But yes, in variant Husband disease, you can tell us internal anal sphincter ecclesia is one of the variant of Husband disease. Other?
NID, sir.
Yes, very good, very good. NID. Any other thing?
They can be pseudo obstruction also, sir. Pseudo obstruction and habitual constipation.
I forget to ask about how will you differentiate between Hirschsprung disease and functional constipation in a child.
Yes, sir. Usually in
the
functional,
most important thing in Hirschsprung disease.
Yes, sir. In a functional constipation, usually there is no history. The neonatal history is normal, sir. There is no delayed passage of meconium, and there is more episodes of soiling and encopresis in functional constipation.
Okay.
Even on examination, there is no abdominal distension, and rectal examination will show a fecal loaded colon, sir, rectum.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't present with so many episodes of enterocolitis like Hirschsprung's disease. Mm-hmm. And the manometry is usually normal in functional constipation, unlike Hirschsprung's disease.
Mm-hmm. Any other thing? That blast sign is absent in functional constipation.
Yes.
Once you do the rectal examination,
there is no explosive evacuation.
No explosive passage of stool.
Yes.
So in other variant, so it is very important to differentiate between the Hirschsprung disease and the functional constipation, because in your practice you will see so many children with similar problems.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so it's very important because you cannot subject all patients for this rectal biopsy and other things. And I have learned one thing, though this is not written in any books, but yes, Professor Subhas Dalal, who is no more with us, he was visiting professor to us. He was examiner here also to PGI. So during informal chat, he told me one thing, that suppose a child comes to you with constipation and you think that this is not Hirschsprung disease also, on barium enema examination also is normal, all your anorectal manometry is normal, and you are not able to treat this constipation. Child is having constipation in spite of laxative and yes, enemas. So he told me that you start low, though see, now this is the era of evidence medicine. Okay?
Yes.
That this was, I am talking about maybe 15, 20 years back. So yes, he told me that that's what he may be practicing in his practice, I don't know. He told me that you start low dose of thyroxine.
Yes.
To these babies and they will improve. And I really tried in maybe 5 to 10 patients and they all improved. Because you said to me that there may be subclinical hypothyroidism, which may not be picked up either on clinical examination or on your biochemical test also. Okay. So if yes, you do this one, then child will improve. And I have seen really the child usually improved with this one. And
subclinical hypothyroidism.
Subclinical hypothyroidism. Yes, correct. That was question. But see, there is no evidence for that. Though I practiced also this and I found that my children responded well to the treatment. But this is the thing that you have to just keep in your mind. What is this one?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So other thing, you uttered one word, neuronal intestinal dysplasia.
Yes, sir.
You tell me on what is the pathological, how will you diagnose on pathological examination?
In histopathology, usually acetylcholinesterase staining is positive, sir, because there are abnormal parasympathetic nerve fibers in the submucosal.
That is all in all Hirschsprung disease. I am asking about in NID.
There will be presence of giant ganglia, sir.
Very good, very good.
More than 8 per, yes.
And hyperganglionosis.
Hyperganglion.
So these two things, otherwise increased acetylcholine esterase will be there in the, usually where this increased acetylcholine esterase activity is seen?
In the muscularis mucosa, sir.
Lamina propria.
Yes, sir, lamina propria.
Okay. And what are the types of NID?
Type A and type B, sir. Type B is most common and most commonly associated with Hirschsprung disease.
Yes. So how will you treat this NID?
Usually, treatment can be with bowel regimen, sir.
Yeah, conservative management.
Conservative management.
Okay, this is rare, but has ultra-short Hirschsprung disease, because it comes, usually you will see in your clinical practice also. You can see NID also, because this is more troublesome, this NID. But ultra-short Hirschsprung disease, how will you treat that? What is the surgical treatment, or what is the treatment for that?
Posterior myotomy can be done, sir.
What do you call that?
Myotomy or myectomy?
Myectomy, sir. Myectomy.
Will you do that endorectal myectomy?
A longitudinal incision is made along the posterior rectal wall, sir, from the dentate line.
What will be the length of this incision or myectomy?
Usually 2 centimeters from the dentate line, sir. The length of the incision.
Yeah, no, 2 centimeters. You start from 2 centimeters, but how long will you go? Approximately?
Up to 4 centimeters.
Up to 4 centimeters. So you have to take a long strip of this
muscle.
What this muscle will be? Circular or longitudinal? When we are talking about this muscle, what this muscle will be? Circular muscle or longitudinal muscle?
The circular muscle, sir.
Circular muscle. Okay, correct. So you will do this long anorectal myectomy, and this will be both diagnostic as well
as curative.
Therapeutic. Because, yeah. Any other thing they are doing nowadays?
They can botulinum toxin injection can be given.
Yes,
it is a temporary measure, but yes.
Yes, botulinum toxin can be used in this case. So, any other question?
We'll see the chat box.
What is the specific detector used in perineum by Dr. Ramesh Kumar? See, in single state transanal pull through, I am using, because we don't have a star node detector. So we are using only putting silk sutures all around and then inverting it. I don't know what you are using there in your institute. Dr. Philip?
We are also using silk, sir, as a stage.
Yeah, because otherwise, but star lone detector is very good. I have used in AIIMS Rishikesh. It's very comfortable, very nice. So, and this is not very costly. But
which one, sir? Which one?
Star Lone, STARLONE, Star Lone detector.
Star Lones.
Yeah. Right. This time we are also trying to purchase it, because this is very good. Good detection and all.
They are like a hook.
Yeah, but uniform detection will be there all around. Just hooks. You have to fix the hooks and that's all. Nothing but.
Yes.
Okay. So that is the very good. Any other thing, Professor?
Is another question, sir? Is the question mark sign present in all cases of TCA? What is the percentage?
No, not present in all the cases. But many cases, in all the cases that this is, because sometimes this is not like typical that narrow colon. Sometimes it's looking like normal colon also, though it may be total colonic ganglionosis. So that typical sign is not present. Because even total colonic ganglionosis is a rare disease. It is present only 10% of the cases.
Yes, sir.
Any other question?
Yeah.
Sir, I have a question, sir.
Yeah.
You have been doing primary transcendental endorectal pull-through.
Yes.
So, did you come across any case where you have done a short segment HD, but later it turns out to be a long segment? Then again, you may have to do it again.
No. No, because we are doing only what there is classical short segment husband disease. We see the transit. Even on when you do single set transanal, when you pull the bowel, you will clearly see that there is narrow segment, then transition zone, then dilated. We usually do the same thing, that we go 5 to 7 centimeters above the dilated segment. So we try to go as proximal as possible so that we may avoid any anosmosis with the aganglionic bowel.
Sir, you depend mainly on the contrast study, and only when the contrast study is classical, then only you attempt the primary.
Then only we attempt the primary pull through, otherwise we don't attempt.
Okay.
The problem is when there is a long segment HD, this is the one which is always confusing and which is always challenging for the pediatric surgeon, long segment Hirschsprung's disease.
Yes.
Actually, I came across one case where I saw typically in contrast look like a short segment or less than classical segments. So then I did transcendental endorectal pull through. Baby did well for about 3 months, then started constipation. So when I did again contrast study, actually I did in a newborn period. So then it was showing long segment Hirschsprung's disease. Then again I have to go do a colostomy and then do a pull through. This is my experience because I did nearly about 50 cases of transcendental endorectal pull through. So this is one of the cases which I came across.
No, we did not come across any such type of patient because in long segment we don't do any single.
Yeah, that was typically confusing, sir. Long segment is always a challenge for the pediatric surgeon.
Yeah.
So always it is very confusing, presents in a delayed manner.
Yeah, it can be because nobody can say that I may not be wrong. Yeah, at any stage after so many years of experience, you may go wrong.
Sir, in total colonic, you do this classical 3-stage. First stage ileostomy, second stage colonic patch, third stage pull through.
Pull through, yeah.
Yeah, 3 stage.
Yeah, 3 stages. I have done personally maybe 4 cases because we don't see, because that's what Dr. Phillips telling is if he has seen 10 cases in these 3 years, then the incidence is much higher than in this part of the country in North India. Because we don't see so many cases.
I have done about 10 cases of TCA, sir. So what I did, I think the 3-stage clinics.
What you did?
I did ileocecal patch.
Ileocecal
in the second stage, first ileostomy, and then second stage I did ileal patch along with the transcendental endorectal pull through, not Duhamel.
Right colonic.
Yeah, right colonic patch. Then the same ileum is brought down transcendentally. So after accessing the whole colon, I did about 10 cases that was presented in the conference also.
Very good, very good. No, we are doing the same previous one, this one. We have not tried a single transcendental pull through in this total colonic.
But there is always some problem with these cases, sir. But half of them settle well, but half of them still they are coming for follow.
See, I may have done more than 500 cases of Duhamel. I joined in 89 pediatric surgery in PGI. Since then, I may have done more than 500 Duhamel cases. And recently, after 2002, I started doing this single stage transcendental. But about 1 year back, when I did one Duhamel, that child belongs to only local here in Panchkula. But that child having such a severe enterocolitis, after every 2 months or something like comes with distension and then not able to feed and all those, then we used to admit and then give rectal washes and all those, then improve. With such a regime, totally, it took maybe almost 2 years 2 years to settle this child completely. That belongs to Muslim family. So this Eid also they called me and on birthday, And that child, what did they send me the picture and all those things. Now child is doing well, no problem. But I have not seen such a problem in any of my Duhamels which done previously. This is in the later part of my life that this child presented with such a problem that in post-operative period we were very much worried why this bleeding is going on, what is there because of the suture line, because of the stapler pins and all those. We were thinking so much. But now the child settled, now totally normal, tolerating.
Any specific conservative treatment you have advised, sir, like probiotics, rectal irrigations?
No, rectal irrigations we advise. Otherwise, no probiotic. No probiotic. We are not using any probiotic, but rectal versus yes. So that child created a lot of problem because we were so worried about that child. What happened? Because we have not seen such a complication in any of our patients. So sometimes you will see such a problem in your patient that you will think, what is happening? We don't know whether we have left something. In that child, when child was presenting this, I did the posterior anorectal mactomy in that also.
Okay.
After that, child improved and remained asymptomatic maybe for 1 year. Then again, 1 or 2 episodes, but that's it. So I think maybe some part of the internal sphincter achalasia may be there. And that may have responded well to that. But this type of things can happen. We don't know.
Yeah.
But that Dr. Narayana is telling a good thing that transanal pull-through can be done in total colony ganglion. So that is good thing because I have not tried. We were doing the same thing in Duhamel only. Any other thing? Dr. Philip has presented nicely.
Duhamel is for TCA cases, ideally, because we will be having more bowel for absorption of water and all.
Yeah, pardon?
But I was scared because there will be 2 anastomosis. The chance of leak is very high. I adapted this procedure.
Yeah. It's good. Very nice. This is nice procedure, what you are telling me. We will try also. Maybe, but incidence there is much higher than, just like that we get more cases of this pouch colon. In North India, we get more cases of pouch colon. You people may not have seen so much cases of pouch colon. Similarly, maybe...
No, sir.
We are getting so many pouch colon, sir.
Definitely the incidence is more in North India.
Yeah, definitely. But I'm surprised with this trans and this TCA also. That is, we have not seen so many cases. Maybe in 3 years, 10 cases we have not seen. Maybe it is more common in South. Maybe.
It's for the last 15 years in my experience I did it.
Yeah.